super excited for this episode. This is the first episode of the podcast. I have a super special guest that we have talks all the time, right? We go to the coffee shop.
Decades.
Yeah, literally we've been knowing each other for, 15 years?
Yeah.
15 years.
Insane.
But yeah, let's hop straight into it. I'm here with Taniya Mola. She is the super caffeinated creator. She is into the fashion industry. She's into the beauty industry. She's a TikToker with over 100,000 followers. And she is transitioning now from working in corporate America to now starting her own creative business as an entrepreneur. So welcome to the podcast, Taniya.
Thank you for having me, Cletis. I'm so excited. I'm also really proud of you for starting a podcast. I think this is exactly what you needed to do, especially for Avery Media, and it's going to be a fun episode. I already know. Yeah. No, so where social media is going right now, right? You see a lot of short form content, right? Yeah.
That's super trendy. Creating those short form videos, and people's attention spans are about tired.
Yeah.
They're tired of just going online and getting that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
They want to spend quality time with people to get to know who they are, what they do, and just sit back and relax. We're here on the couch. We got our shoes off, and we're just going to just dive into some topics today. So the reason we have these coffee mugs, of course, we both love coffee, but Taniya loves coffee, to the whole different level.
It's like a problem. You know how there's addiction? Caffeine is my addiction.
So let's talk about that. What started this caffeine addiction?
My name is Taniya, and I have an addiction to coffee. What started this addiction?
Yeah.
I think it was back in college. I think I've always loved tea, coffee, things like that, because growing up my parents would always drink cha, and so I think college was the time where I discovered how much I enjoyed drinking it, because it just kept me wired, especially with studies, schoolwork, exams, but the 4 shots turned into 6 shots, and then it was just in my bloodstream. But I think coffee in general gives me this energy that it's just unmatched, right? And I rely on it a lot, but I love the version of Taniya when she drinks coffee and caffeine, because she gets this energy. She loves to create with it and work, and I don't know, it's just something that it's just more than coffee to me. So that's why I have this cup right here.
All right, so I want to rewind a little bit, right? Talking about college, you're talking about early childhood. So what was your childhood like growing up? Let's just talk about early days. What was that like living in your family and, just up until now?
Growing up, so I'm Bengali American, and my dad and my mom were also in the arts, which is so beautiful. My mom loves to sing so much. She was always singing all the different songs, and my dad actually had his own camera, so he would be the person at family events with a big camcorder recording everything, putting all the funky filters. I don't know if you remember, but the a kaleidoscope filter that used to be a thing back in the day. My dad would always do that, and so I was always surrounded by, I think, that creative energy growing up, and yeah. I think
that's funny. So creativity is in your blood, just like caffeine.
It's in my blood. It's literally in my blood. My sister, who's also a creator, she loves being in front of the camera as well. And I think being exposed to that growing up has always piqued my interest, right? And I'll admit, I had a YouTube channel, I still do, but early in my college days, I have embarrassing videos of me. It's my favorite thing to do, and those videos are now on private, but I knew growing up creating was always going to be part of me.
No, that's amazing. It reminds me of when I first started on TikTok in 2020.
4 years ago.
4 years ago, I posted my first video. I was in Montreal, Canada, and my brother was like, yo, you need to start posting on TikTok. And I listened to him, because same thing, instead of, your dad being the one walking around with the camera, it was my brother. he got his degree in film videography. I was always helping him out on his YouTube videos, and that really inspired me to start creating.
Yeah.
So that's good that you had a family and people to surround yourself that y'all have like interest, and the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
No, not at all. I remember, I think your brother was on Vine, right?
Yeah.
I remember that because your brother was always recording something. So that's so funny that you mentioned that he's kind of like where the desire and inspo came on.
Yeah, the OG of viral. He was going viral in like 2011, 2013.
He was so funny.
Yeah,
he is so funny, at least from what I remember.
Yeah. But no, so that's really cool. But back to the TikTok thing. I remember when I first started, I was going crazy on there, gaining like 1,000+ followers a day. And you were like, Cletis, I want to start a TikTok. And I'm like, do it.
Yeah.
You know? And you started your channel, and now you have more followers than me. You surpassed me because you took that opportunity and ran with it.
Yeah.
So I just want to dive in a little bit to how you transition to like saying I'm gonna be a full-time creator, right?
Yeah.
And posting those videos consistently. So what really like sparked you to say I'm gonna take this opportunity and run with it?
You know what? Let's take it back since you brought up 2020. That was a very tough time for many of us. You know, this is when the world went down, or went on lockdown. I was in this space at home, you know, I'm living with my parents, and it was a tough time. I'm not going to lie. We were going through some really difficult times, and creating was my outlet, right? So we're already stuck in this home together, and I needed to do something to kind of keep me sane, right? And so when I joined TikTok, it was literally when COVID took place, and it was the only time that I had to really dedicate my time creating, whether it was like the 15-second fashion videos or trends or whatnot. I just knew that it gave me some sort of like purpose, because creating was always put on the back burner, right? Like I was in corporate, and that took majority of my time. I really never had the time, or that was my excuse. I just never had the time to actually create. And so with that, that's kind of like where it all started. Like I said, I've always wanted to create, post on Instagram, posted YouTube videos, but it was never taken seriously up until 2020, when I was like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to invest my time in here. And because I have the time now. And so that kind of led to where we are today. And going back to the corporate aspect, the reason why I have the time to really focus and put my all into this is because I did get laid off. And I told you that last year of 2023, I got laid off, which kind of like forced me to think about really prioritizing this and making it a potential full-time thing. And that's kind of like where the space I am right now. And I've talked to you about this before, where I was just like, Cletis, like I know I want to do this. I know that this is part of me, like a passion of mine, but I feel like I kept making excuses, or I think I was just too afraid. And so now I'm finally in this space where I'm like, no, like I can do this, right? You've inspired me so much with the growth that you've had within the past couple of years. And I don't know, that's kind of like where my mental is at right now. And I have more confidence in myself. This isn't just like, you know, I'm posting a TikTok now. This is like a business, and this can bring so much value, not only to me, but to the community that I'm trying to grow. Because I've always told you this as well, representation is so important to me. And like, I want more Bengali creators out there. I want people that look like me in the fashion and beauty industry. And if I'm going to be the person to kind of be part of that change, then I'll do it.
Love that. So, okay, that was a lot to unpack. You know?
I know. I think I like trauma dumped. Was that trauma? I'm like, well, back in COVID, I was in a really tough time.
No, I mean, but it shows like a lot of people were going through unfortunate situations, but it also opened up so much opportunity for people to do things that they wouldn't necessarily take that risk.
Exactly, because they had the time. You know, we were all just home. At least I can speak for myself and, you know, my friends. We were all just home. And there was a point where we were going insane, you know? And honestly, I think everyone can say that TikTok was such an outlet for many of us because it gave us that dopamine hit, right? When we're just scrolling and we're laughing and we're, you know, seeing funny reels and skits and things like that. Like it helped us get through a really tough time.
Yeah. Okay, so fast forward, right? 4 years. We're out of COVID now. People are getting back into corporate America. We're not getting back in, but they're starting to go back into the office, right? A lot of people are doing this hybrid model where you can work from home, go into the office. But like you said, last year you got laid off, right? So let's dive into that. You said, I'm not going back to corporate America. At least right now, during watching this podcast, you know, you said, I'm not going back. Talk about what was going through your mind of making that transition from corporate to like, I want to be this full-time creator. Like, what was the thought process to get you to take that leap?
Oh my God, you really want me to trauma dump here, don't you? I'm kidding. So I think it was a really pivotal moment of my life. I just moved back to my parents' home. So I went to New York for the summer, lived there. This was like, I want to move to this city, right? And then moving back home, trying to figure it out. Next thing you know, boom, I get laid off. And so I was just like, my life kind of paused because I didn't know what was next, right? And I think at that time, there was always that voice in my head that was like, hey, this is a time where you invest in yourself. This is a time where you say yes to you, right? But I kind of kept shoving that off. Ironically, 1 week prior to getting laid off, my really good friend was like, you should start an LLC. Like, Taniya, why? Why are you waiting so long? Just do it. And so I sat in my office. This was when people were leaving. I sat in the office and I was with her and we spent an hour and we opened up my LLC. 1 week after, I got laid off. And so I think that was like, I like to think of it as the universe telling me like, all right, since you already did this is me trying to just, you know, do the job for you because you're too scared to do it, right? Yeah. And so I think at that time when I did get laid off, it was like the realization like, okay, this is it. This is the only time that you can do it, right? Yeah, you can go back to the job force, but like, even then I did spend some time applying to new roles, but nothing was fulfilling. I didn't want to. Like, I don't want to sip the corporate Kool-Aid anymore. I really don't. And like, at the end of the day, if all of this fails, which knowing me, I would not let that happen, jobs will always be there, right? I can always fall back on that. So if not, take a chance right now, why not?
Yeah. No, that's huge. And, you know, big kudos to you for just believing in yourself, because a lot of people, no matter who's around them, you know, because the people you surround yourself by, they have a huge impact in the way you think, in the in the decisions that you make, and the opportunities that you get. You have to surround yourself by like-minded people, you know. So the fact that your coworker was like, let's start this LLC, let's do it right now, just gave you that boost. And that's sometimes what it takes, is you have to, like you said, invest into your people, invest into your education, and really put yourself out there in this state of, I'm gonna make this happen. And knowing me, I have no choice but to make this happen. Yeah. Because now that we're off from our job, we got to make some money somehow. Right?
Absolutely. And my cousin, who is in the music industry, really made her way in that path. And she always told me this one thing. She was like, failure just is not an option. Like, that literally just is not an option. Yeah, you can fail here and there, but at the end of the day, if you have this goal, you will do whatever it takes to get there, right? And I think the moment I started my LLC, the moment it was like official, was the first time where I felt like some sort of confidence in myself. Because back then I didn't feel confident in my work. Yeah, I was creating and like I had sponsorships that were, you know, small, but it was still opportunities that I was excited about, but I still never gave myself credit. I was like, oh, every creator deals with this. You know, they all have these opportunities, but I never really believed in my creativity and my work up until I started my LLC. And that's when literally the journey kind of started. It was like an uphill journey. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of tears there, a lot of imposter syndrome, a lot of doubt that I was instilling within myself. But it still led me to where I am today, where I'm still learning. And like, I know in this topic that we want to talk about is like pivoting and like feeling scared, but knowing it's going to work out. If you have that grit and determination and the resources, and also just like your community here to support you, you will get there. Like, you can do it. Again, like, I get so passionate about this topic because life is so short. Like, it is so short. And at the end of the day, like, if you feel like you're not giving any part of your goal or any desire into your goals and like any effort, you're going to regret it. And you literally have one chance here. So why not? Like, what do you truly have to lose?
Yeah. No, that's powerful. Like you said, the whole pivoting without a plan.
Yeah.
You know, some people will spend so much time in this design, creation, watching endless YouTube videos, asking people questions. They're just dumping research into their brain that just now you have a fog where you don't know who to follow, you don't know who to trust, you don't know what to do. So pivoting without a plan is difficult in itself.
Yeah.
But now you're trying to say, who can I trust to like learn this new information on how to actually start a business?
Yeah. And like, to be quite honest, it's so great to teach yourself and, you know, gain resources and do that outreach. Like, that's really important. Obviously, like, the internet is free, right? There is so much resource out there, and like creators or people that, you know, are already experts in the space that you might want to grow in. All of that is available to you. But when you have all that information, like you said, sometimes it can get overwhelming and it can just be foggy, right? And it's like, you don't know what to do next. Like, what's that next step? And that can get really scary. But like, I think when you pivot without a plan, it's going to also push you to build your plan, right? And it may not make sense at that time or at that moment, but you will get there. You just have to chip at it every single day. Like, have you ever read that book, Atomic Habits?
Oh, yeah.
Like, the 1% like method, the 1% theory has helped me so much, because if I just do one thing today, and it doesn't have to be drastic, but just taking my time to do one thing, just like 1% each day, you get closer to that end goal, whatever that may be, right? So it's like, you don't have to have it all figured out when you make that pivot, but as long as you put in some sort of effort to make 1% or achieve 1% of that goal, it'll happen in no time.
In no time. Okay, so I got a question for you. So you started your business, right?
Okay.
When exactly was this again?
This was August 23rd?
August 23rd.
I think.
Of this year.
Of last year.
August 23rd.
We are not even in August this
Right.
year. It is July.
Yeah, right. Moving ahead of myself. Okay, so you start your business. You have your first client now.
Yes.
So I want to dive into that. Like, how did you land your first client?
Yeah, through a friend. Like, it was through someone that I used to work with, and she had referred me to this law firm that I'm currently managing their socials for, but it was all referral based. And like, that is so important when it comes to community and like your network. People will speak highly of you if you put out, you know, meaningful work, or you show that you have passion in what you do. People will bring your name up. And so that first client wasn't because I did outreach, it was because of word of mouth, and I was referred, which I think is just as valuable as outreach and getting clients through, you know, yourself.
Yeah. Now, I think it's actually more valuable that you have somebody speaking on your behalf.
Yeah.
Because in your situation, you have years of corporate experience.
Yeah.
You know how to deliver a brand strategy. You know how to create content. You know how to do all these things. But there's a lot of people out there that don't have any experience, right? So thinking back to when you were first starting out, creating content, trying to, you know, land this client, you're still in that process of figuring out things around business. So like, what are some of those things that you might be struggling with right now that you're just trying to figure out?
I mean, you were there when I took that client call, right? We were both at a coffee shop and I pitched my project to them, and you heard it all. That was my very first time doing that.
Oh yeah.
I've never done that before, and I was like, I have to wing this. And as I didn't feel as prepared, but obviously like it went well, it went great. And so it's like, when you're in this space, when you just don't know what you're doing, but you're just going to try, like that is really important. So like, even till this day, I'm still struggling with that, right? I'm still learning how to build this business. I need a website that I'm working on. I need to figure out what exactly are my services, because I'm all over the place. I'm like, well, I want to do fashion and beauty content, and I want to create on my personal channel, but then I also want to help small businesses and law firms and, you know, clinics to help with their marketing and their social media. But then I'm like, I also want to be a wedding content creator because the wedding industry is like, there's a lot of money there and a lot of opportunity there. So like, I'm all over the place. But one thing that I am telling myself, that's also okay. You don't have to bucket yourself into one niche. Like, I can be all three of those. Why not? You know? So it's like, I think when you are pivoting and you're in this space of like, what do I want to do? Do not limit yourself. It's important to niche down here and there, but like, do not limit yourself to what you want to do, because once you put that cap, then you're constricted. That's like all you can do. And then you mentally tell yourself you can't be a wedding content creator and also do fashion and beauty, but also be a consultant for social media. Like, you tell yourself you can't do all three of those things. And that's where I'm at right now, where I'm like having that conversation with myself and that realization that yes, you can. You can literally do anything. You are the only person that's stopping you.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And I think that's so powerful, because that was my biggest challenge when I first started out, was like, I serve this person with this service, and here's my specific mechanism on getting them results. And I felt so boxed in, when in reality, we're creative people. We just want to go and do and create and be. And that's why the rise of personal branding has become so popular.
Yes.
Right? Because now we're not so focused on our services, but now we're focused more on the person that we're, you know, trying to attract.
Yes.
We're trying to attract people who like me for who I am. They like that, you know, you're into fashion. They like that you're into beauty. They like that you are into weddings and branding and consulting, everything. They're like, I just like her. So regardless of what industry she's in, I'm going to support her. I'm going to pay for her services. I'm going to refer her out to people because I like that person. So now they look at you as the solution. Right?
Oh my gosh, that's powerful.
Not necessarily just like, oh, this person does this, so I put them in that box, right?
That is so powerful.
You know, when Amazon first started, they just sold books, but now you can go to Amazon and get everything.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they just started off selling books. Now they sell everything. So the fact that you're building yourself, or you're building this business around being a solution provider, not necessarily like, I just solved this one problem. Yeah.
That's good. We should just end the episode right now. Because that's really good. That's such a beautiful sound bit right there, because I never thought of it that way. That like, oh, I just bring, like, I can be more so someone that just provides a solution and not necessarily just to one problem or one project, to many, right? And I think there's a really huge disconnect, and this is something that I'm seeing in the influencer space. I think there's a huge disconnect where brands are missing the point, or they're missing the target when it comes to reaching their audience. And they're going through, you know, these larger creators or just creators in general, and just like, hey, sell this product for us, right? Like, we've seen this before when we're scrolling through a social media app. We're always constantly being sold something, right? I feel like there's such a big shift now where I'm like, I don't care to be sold this lip gloss. I just want to hear your story, or I want you to walk me through your day of like what happened. Like I want to connect more with people. I want to connect more with creators, and like that's something that I really want to focus on when building up my brand, is to always fall back on my roots and like being authentic, because I feel like during that time of 2020, that's why a lot of people leaned in TikTok, because they were able to get that sense of community at a time where many people felt loneliness. I feel like I don't see that anymore. I don't see that on YouTube. I don't see that on any of the social media apps. I'm just being sold something, which is obviously fine. But at the same time, where is that community aspect? Where is that authenticity? That's always been a big thing for many people, but I feel like that's slowly vanishing. And I'm trying to make sure like that's not the case, you know? And I think if it's one of my biggest advice of someone who's trying to be a creator, or even just create content, is just to always be true to yourself and like focus on connecting with someone, because that's gonna help you build that community.
Okay, so we're both content creators by heart, and we're seeing that transition, like you said, from the influencer world, where these brands are paying these people who have notoriety, but their engagement is very low, because people just know them through social media or from TV or wherever they see them. But now these micro influencers are coming in with 1,000 followers, 5,000 followers, 10,000, and they have way more engaged audiences, and they come from that unique organic perspective. And brands are now realizing that instead of us paying $100,000 to go pay Kim Kardashian to do something, why don't I pay Taniya a couple thousand, and that's gonna yield way more high of return. And that's why a lot of people are getting into UGC content, because people want that authentic approach. So we can dive deep into
that's like another episode.
That's a whole different episode of UGC content, because both me and you have racked up views, brand deals, sponsorships. We've seen both sides of it, from the perspective of being a creator, where brands are reaching out to us, and your background being in branding and strategy and partnerships. You know what it's like to reach out to creators to see what they're asking for. So we'll save that for a completely different episode.
I know, stay tuned.
Right. If y'all want to, if you're listening to this and you're not watching it, make sure you drop a comment or reach out to us if you want to learn more about those topics, because that is a completely different topic. Because today we're focused on building that business. Pivoting without a plan. But it just is a testament of you just really diving deep and saying like, I'm gonna do this no matter what. And the importance of having a community of people that you are leaning on to get through this. So what I want to know, like, what type of community are you trying to build, or what community do you have right now that other than the person that helped you start your LLC? Like, what does your community look like right now when it comes to this?
I think right now, I'll answer this in two ways. One, a community that I'm trying to network in and build like more relationships in is a community full of entrepreneurs, right? And small business owners, and people that have a similar story as far as pivoting away from corporate and doing their own thing, because they had that tiny voice say, hey, you should consider it, you can do it. So a lot of my friends, they are in corporate, or they're in different fields, and I don't really know many people that are business owners or have pivoted and wanted to start their own company or their own brand. I don't really have a lot of people in that space, and that's something that I really want, because I also want to learn, right? And so I'm setting up coffee dates with other individuals who have that entrepreneur mindset, and I'm learning from them. So that's currently the community that I'm trying to build. The community that I have right now are truly like young women, young Bengali women, and that's what I want to target, but people that had not seen much representation in the beauty and industry, or the beauty and fashion space, and want that. So like I've always said, I wanted to be the person or the role model that I didn't have growing up, right? And if I can do that, then great, because that's what I want to build. I really want to see more like South Asian women in these brand deals and these brand trips and these, you know, companies that are always, you know, investing in the same influencers. That's why I'm so happy that I'm seeing a space where micro influencers and smaller influencers are finally getting the attention that they deserve, because it's refreshing. It's exciting to see that. And like, I feel like this is the first year where I'm seeing many more Bengali creators in different space finally have breakthrough, which is so exciting and so inspiring, because I feel like that's not what I had growing up, and I want to do that. And so I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh, it definitely did.
Okay.
It definitely did. Yeah. So building a community is very important.
It's really important.
You know, it's really important. Like, we know this, and there's so many different, you know, platforms now that allow you to build those communities, and they allow you to host, you know, classes and courses and resources and materials. And like yourself, there's so many people out there who are fiending for it, but it's just a matter of like, does this person resonate with me?
Yes.
And there's so many different lanes and pockets where you can reach your audience. Even if it's just a small percentage of people,
Yeah.
if those people really are dedicated and devoted to connecting with you and the people in it, you can build a sustainable business with 100 people.
Yeah.
You know, with 100 people, you can build that business. So it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing where it's like, I'm trying to go up and set up coffee dates with, you know, all of these people, and I'm trying to reach out to these big entrepreneurs. And, you know, it's like, of course you can learn something from that, but at the same time, like, you can build a solid business on your small community, and people need to know that. It's just taking that leap of faith, going out and putting yourself out there, and like you said, pivoting without a plan. Even though you feel very uncomfortable, you're scared, you may not know where to go. Now you know exactly where to go. My girl Taniya gonna hook you up.
I think that's really important. A community doesn't have to be like thousands of people. A community can be your friends, your family. It could be the barista at a local coffee shop that you go to on a weekly basis. It could be the people that you see all the time. Like, that can be your community. You don't have to have a huge presence on social media. You don't have to have 1,000 followers. Like, I think the biggest thing to always remember or try to disconnect yourself with are the numbers. Metrics are important, but like, don't focus on, I need to get 10,000 followers by the end of this year. Don't focus on that, because that's going to push you away from that community aspect and building that authentic community. So like, your community does not have to be composed of a lot of people. It can literally be your friend. It can be me and Cletis.
All right.
Literally, we're here for you. Like,
Yeah.
we've been where a lot of people have been. We're still here. We're still lost. I feel like I'm still lost trying to figure it out. I can't speak for yourself, but like, all of this is still new to me, and we're always learning. And like, I lead in my community, which is honestly you and like some other individuals that I'm learning from. So it doesn't have to be this large number. It can literally be anyone. And you already have 2 people right here.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's crazy because like, I landed my first brand deal with 250 followers, and that was for $500. I'm like, I got paid more than the amount of followers that I have.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people, follower count does not matter.
It does not
matter. You know, there's people that I've talked to who have 300,000 followers and literally are struggling to make 10K a month. And then I have some people who have 500 followers who are millionaires.
Yeah.
How is this even possible, you would think? But that just goes to show, it's like, what you do outside of social media is just as important, if not way more important, than what you're doing online, because people often put out this facade like they're living this lifestyle.
Oh
they're,
my
you know,
God. It's fake.
It's fake, right?
It's fake. It's social media is not real.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yes, there is definitely a lot of impact there, and it is real, but like, a day in my life as a content creator, like, not all of it.
Wake up, coffee.
I know, like, today I woke up at what, 9?
Right.
Close to 9. But I'll post a video a couple days ago. I'm like, I woke up at 7 a.m. because it was just that one day that I decided to wake up at 7 a.m. Like this idea that many people have about like creating or like social media, it's not all real.
Yeah. And then, when you see a lot of times people are living the life that you want on social media, a lot of times it is real too.
Oh, of
there's
course.
people who out here are really getting it, but I think what they don't talk about is what they're doing off the platform.
Yes.
And the mechanism that they're using to nurture people, right? Because we can talk about the whole funnel, right? Getting people to visit your page for the first time, but that's just the first step.
Yeah.
It's what do you do with that contact or that person after they follow you?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people get a new follower and they're like, okay, cool. I might follow them back. I might not, because, I want to have a lot of followers and I'm not following a lot of people. But one easy tip that you can do is if you're creating consistent content and people actually are following you, follow them back and send them a message.
Engage with them.
Hey, thank you so much for following. Like, what did you like about my page? Like, how can we connect?
You see, that's where that conversation and that connection piece that's so important is sometimes missing, right? In everyone's strategy or whatnot. And like, to go back to like you saying, like, sometimes it is real. It is. And I'm not discrediting anyone that's like, posting their 9 to 5 or whatnot. Like, all of it is real. But what I meant to say is like there is a portion that we don't get to see, which is okay, right? Because there are pros and cons to everything. And I think that it's important to understand that it does take some work and like determination to, get to wherever you want to get. But like people that are following larger creators or seeing like someone that has the perfect lifestyle or, something that you want, it took a lot of work probably for them too. And like remember that and like know that it's still possible for you,
Yeah, it is. Everything is possible.
Everything is possible.
It's just, it takes work.
It takes
an insane amount of work unless you have a community of people who have gone through things that you're struggling with, or you can get in the room with somebody who's already doing what you want to do and speed your way to success. You're still going to have to actually do it and go through those challenges just like they did. But if someone can condense, 5 to 10 years of what they've been figuring out and have finally got to a place where like, okay, I see success. Why not go to them, have a conversation, pay for their mentorship, whatever the case may be, because a lot of times you'll see these people out here with these online communities and online programs and you're like, why the heck would I pay that insane amount of money? One, I may not have it. Two, you're just another social media person that's trying to sell a course. But I thought the same thing until I actually invested thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, into my education and paying for those courses. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, one, this is information that I actually had no idea, and I can implement this right now. And two, it was that, like you said, that kick, that push, having that community of someone who's like, what did you do today? What are you doing to grow your business? How many people did you talk to? And just having somebody in your corner that's rooting for you is really all you need.
Yep.
So, anyone who's at that position where they're like, I want to start a business, I want to take that next step, I would advise, if you have money set aside, you can speed up your journey by just paying somebody. And it don't have to be me. I actually don't even offer coaching or any online paid community because I'm just a well of resources. Like, I want to connect because I'm still in a position in my career where I'm trying to learn as well. Right. And by you going out there having those conversations, that's going back to what you said, being so in so many different buckets, right? Fashion, beauty, law. The more conversations you have and the more times you meet people, you're going to have times where you're like, you know what, I may not actually want to do that. Like, I've talked to 20 law firms. I'm like, I actually hate working with y'all. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But you won't know if you sit behind your computer and watch all the other people who are doing it, as opposed to just getting out there and trying it yourself.
I think that's right. Like right there, that's important. You don't know until you do it, right? Like, you don't know, or you won't know if you don't like working with law firms until you do it, right? And then like you can always walk away from it essentially, right? You have full control of what you want to do and what you don't want to do. But the main important thing is to just do it, right? And I think a lot of people stop when they get a little bit, and I'm going to speak for myself, but there was a moment where I was so overwhelmed by the amount of information that I was consuming that I just kept delaying like starting, right? Like right now I'm in the process of trying to build my website, and I'm so overwhelmed because I've never built a website before. I don't know how to do it. And I keep delaying it, right? And it's like, it can be so overwhelming with all the resources that are available to you. So it's important to try to like set deadlines for yourself, so that way you get something done.
Yeah.
And like, I love that you said it, sometimes it's just about having someone on your corner to kind of like help push you. I think that's really important, whether that's going to be a mentor, whether that's going to be like one person that you are creating with that's like holding yourself accountable. Like having that kind of guidance will help you get to XYZ, because sometimes you can get really overwhelmed with the amount of courses and YouTube videos and information that you're digesting. Yeah,
it's crazy because you know, when I first started my business, I didn't make a website until I was at like 10K a month.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I would reach out to people, I would cold call people, I would go up to doors, you know, knocking, hey, you know, I'm a new entrepreneur, you know, I offer, and I was just whatever, video, you know, website design. I don't even have a website myself. You know, it's crazy. But at the end of the day, it's like your output, you know, like all I had, seriously, at first, I just had a Google Drive folder with my video work. And people be like, oh, can you send me your website? Oh, I don't have a website yet. Straight up. I'm a new entrepreneur. I don't have a website, but I have been able to deliver some videos that my clients are liking. You know, I can send you over the Google Drive link. Bam, I landed my first client, $5K a month off of that.
Exactly.
Now, it's crazy because I pitched them on so many different services. Website, social media management, content, you know, paid ads, because I invested into a course. At the time, it was $300 for the course, and I was like, oh my gosh, like why would I pay this much? But looking back, like I took that, I implemented it immediately, and within 2 weeks I landed a client paying $5K. Now they didn't stay long because I didn't know what I was doing, but it showed me that anything is possible if you really just go out there and say, listen, I am gonna do this no matter what,
and just do it. Like I said, you don't need to have a website. One thing I want to also emphasize, you don't need to have a camera, like a fancy camera. You don't need to have all of this equipment to start. So like, I'm thinking of all the excuses we used to make for ourselves, right? Like, well, I need a big camera in order for me to be a content creator. I need to have a website so people can take me seriously. No. You can literally just use your phone if you have a phone.
I'm telling you.
Like, you can have the bare minimum to still start. So just don't prevent yourself. Don't make those excuses for yourself, because you can literally do it. You just need that push. And just start somewhere.
Right. Just got to start.
You just have to start.
So, I mean, I think we covered a lot of topics today.
Me too. I feel like we really did.
Yeah. I know you're on a time constraint. Right, it's 12:05. I know you got a lunch to head to.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, let me ask you, you have any questions for me? Like,
I think there are so many questions I have for you. There really is. But I think one thing that a lot of people, that including myself, has, like, me knowing you, I've gained so much knowledge and like guidance, and like you were always that person who was in my corner, right? I think when someone is trying to pivot, I'm gonna throw this back to you. When someone is trying to pivot, and they can come from a different background, different industry, they can come from corporate, they can come from, you know, I don't know, but anyway, everyone has a different backstory. When they want to pivot, what is like your number one advice? And secondly, what is like a tool a resource or, you know, a course that you invested in that really helped you kind of carve the path of where you are today?
That's a great question. So when we talk about pivoting, right, I think a lot of people think they need to just jump straight into entrepreneurship. When in reality, I would tell them, like, don't do that. You know, stay working your job, but it's all
Unless
about
you get laid off.
right? It's all about time management, because the last thing you want to do is put yourself in a situation where now you're uncomfortable, your mind is clouded because you're trying to take so much information and you can't really make clear judgment and decisions to move a business forward because you're worried about, I just quit my job, I need to make money, you know, so you're desperate and you don't know what you're doing. So now you're just taking all this stuff in, and it's like, that is the worst way to do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people should continue to work their job, but start to do research onto side hustles that can just generate you extra money. You know, it doesn't have to replace your 9-to-5 right now, but start off with that. You know, and there's this concept, a lot of people talk about it, it's the ikigai.
The ikigai?
Ikigai is a Japanese term.
Tell me more.
Right, and essentially it's the sweet spot between, and I don't have it right in front of me, so I don't know, but it's like, what are you good at? What do people pay you for? What does the world need? And what, I believe, are you passionate about? But it's like that sweet spot between all of those. If you can find that, start off with that. Find different side hustles that can fulfill you in multiple ways, not only financially, but spiritually, mentally. If you want something that has a low barrier to entry, find something that will best suit your lifestyle that you want to achieve, and then do some research. You know, start talking to people and networking with people who are in that industry and ask them for advice, right? Because there's no one fits all.
No.
You know, there's no one fits all, but the best thing is to find that good spot, start with that, and then start having those conversations, you know. And a lot of times, if you have a job and you're not desperate to make money, you can go and do free work. You know, you can go and volunteer. You can go and do things where you're now getting experience back, to where you can use that as a testimonial for your next client that you pitch. Instead of saying, okay, I'm looking at all these things, I need to charge these crazy amounts. You don't have to listen to that, right? Go find someone and tell them your story. Like, I am new to business. I've been doing research on this. Can I please just try this out for your business? No cost. You know, if you like it, cool. All I ask for is a testimonial. And if you like it a lot, hey, next month we can talk about, you know, what it would look like for me to, you know, work with you.
Yeah.
And that's a great place to start. And a lot of people try to skip over that step, but you can't. You can't, because you'll end up like me trying to pitch something that I couldn't deliver on. And then now you'll be like, dang, you know, but I think if you're resourceful and you know how to tap into people and really get them to help you out, that's very important. Because that's, you know, that's when I realized, like, I landed a website design project. And this was when I first started, and they wanted to pay me $1,000 to make their website. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? Like, I don't know how to do this. But I went on websites like Fiverr and Upwork, and I hired somebody and I paid them a percentage of it, right? So they built this fully website that the client loved, and I just took the percentage off of it. So not only was the client happy, but the person who actually has built up the skills to deliver the service, they were happy because they got paid. And then I was happy too, because I can just be the glue between everybody.
Yeah.
So that middleman strategy is used in a lot, you know, a lot of different businesses.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who doesn't want to go out and say, learn new skills, like, I don't want to learn how to, you know, sell houses with real estate, or I don't want to be a content creator, I want to do none of that, I just want to make some money.
Yeah.
Be the middleman.
That's so smart.
Be good at connecting the dots between point A and point B, and you will get paid great by just doing that. So that's, if that, you know, that answers your question, that's kind of the advice that I would give.
That's so smart. And I think that's so valuable too, because it also, you know, takes away from the pressure of trying to figure out how to build this skill or learn. And unless you want to do it, right? Unless you want to learn how to code and build a website, then great. But if you just want to make the money and like remove yourself from having to do that, there's always a way of being the middleman. I think that's such a smart approach. And I think like that is always a solution that you can dwell in.
Yeah. Got you. Anything else?
Oh, this is fun. Actually.
Right. Hot seat. We're in the hot seat right now.
I think something that I feel like is always fascinating when I think about like your story is how you were in baseball and now you pivoted into being an agency owner and a creator and like truly a jack of all trades. What was the hardest part of making that pivot?
You know, looking back, it wasn't really that hard for me to transition because I put all of my effort and energy towards being the best baseball player I possibly could. So I had nothing, to let go. I wasn't, harboring on the moment saying like, oh man, I just need another opportunity. I literally made up in my mind that I'm done with this. And I took that same mentality and work ethic that I had for sports. And I was like, whatever I'm going to do next, I'm just going to have the same energy. Waking up every single day, like grinding, and that made that transition way easier for me. But it all started off with a routine for me. And I would wake up every day and I would, listen to a sermon. I would read my Bible and I would ask God for clarity. Like as I'm making this transition, I don't want to do anything. I was just at church this past Sunday and my pastor, shout out to Pastor Mo, Victory Midtown. He said, I'm not afraid of trying. I'm afraid of being successful at the wrong thing. So that really resonated with me, and it brought me back to when I first started. I was like, I don't care if I fail. I just don't want to do something that doesn't align with what God has in purpose for me. So I don't care if I am, trying one thing this week, one thing the next week. I am just going to do whatever God is telling me to do. So I tried so many different things. I was caddying at golf courses, delivering chips to gas station. I was, working as a bar back in the club, and doing janitorial services for them. There was nothing that was too big for me. I literally did not care. I would go to estate sales and, go through old people's stuff and literally go and try to sell it on eBay. I was like, I don't care. I just want to not even necessarily make money. I just want to show God that I am really putting forth the effort to align what it is you want me to do. And all of those little experiences got me to where I am today. So that transition wasn't hard for me because I knew that I have what it takes. It's just a matter of like, trusting God and figuring out when that timing would reveal itself.
I think that's so beautiful because you really believed in yourself, right? And again, like I know we keep going back to pivoting without a plan, but that is right there, like true description of you constantly pivoting without a plan, but you are still able to get to where you are today, right? And I think I want to also go back to something that you said about, wanting to learn when you feel like you're at zero and you have nothing. One thing that's so beautiful, at least from like what I've experienced and probably what also you've experienced, something so beautiful about the creative community, whether it's in person or even online, people are willing to help you. Like people want to help you because when someone is experiencing starting from scratch, we've all been there in some aspect of our life. And if there's anything that we can do to kind of help you, be open to that because we're all rooting for you, right? And I know it can be so scary when you pivot, when you are doing so many different things that just don't make sense. You're just like, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? It'll make sense. It really will make sense, but it's just about that determination and just like not giving up on yourself. Like that is so important. That's a conversation that I have within myself almost every single day because there are some times where we just feel defeated, but it's just like telling yourself like, no, don't give up. God's not giving up on you. Your spirits aren't giving up on you. Like don't give up on yourself, because there are people rooting for you.
Yeah.
And I know that is probably one of the most scariest things someone can deal with or face when they are trying to pivot and change their life.
Yeah. You know, like this money tree right here. When I first got that thing, it was down to my knees. And now if I stand up, it's like at my eye level. And when I first got it, I was just like, my cute little plant just sitting here in the corner. And now I'm like, you taking up all the space. But every single day I would just water that plant, and I would just sit there and watch it and watch it and watch it. And sometimes the dead leaves, come, or sometimes it's just not doing good. But that just goes to like there's seasons in your life, in your business, where you got to keep on watering that thing, because if you don't, it's just going to completely die. But if you water it, them dead leaves are going to fall off. The bad relationships that you have, the bad mentors that, essentially are in your life, you're going to get to the point where you just keep on watering that thing. All the badness is falling off. And then it comes out to be this nice flourishing thing where you look up and you're like, wow, that just happened.
There's a bug here. I'm smiling ear to ear right now because this is how I know timing is really important. And like this conversation that we had today was meant to happen. Literally June 30th, I was writing my vision for July, and I literally said verbatim, Taniya, the seeds that you planted are now blooming. This is a month of blooming. Now you just referenced this money tree and how you're like, you just have to keep watering it. I never told you that I wrote that. You didn't tell me that you're going to bring this tree up during the conversation, but this is how we're ending our episode today.
Yeah.
How beautiful is that? Timing will work out for you.
Yeah.
Never give up on that, because everything that happens in your life, all the events that you've experienced, hardship, like great exciting events, everything that happened in your life was meant to happen.
Period.
Oh
wow, that was a really great conversation. So for all the people that are watching this or listening to this online, like, where can they find you?
Oh my gosh, yes. You can find me on my YouTube channel at Hello, I'm Taniya. That's across all of the active platforms that I'm on. I'm on Instagram, and I'm also on TikTok. YouTube is definitely a channel that I'm trying to grow in right now, which is really exciting. I just posted a video about starting your business, and so I'm bringing people along the journey of being a small business owner and just kind of walking them through, because I'm trying to figure it out as well. So yeah, hello, I'm Taniya on all social media platforms.
Well, thank you so much, Taniya, for joining our first podcast, ever together. We don't even have a name for the podcast yet, but we said we're gonna just start.
Just do it. You just started it.
Yeah, just started. Like,
exactly.
Put it out there, have conversations, build more of a community, because that's been my biggest thing, is just building community. So thank you so much for being my first guest on the episode.
I'm honored.
Until next time.
Thank you. And again, I'm so proud of you, Cletis. I really am. Cheers, coffee cups. Right. We're done, baby.